So with those common challenges in mind, both kind of quantitative and qualitative challenges, we want to look at what is the role of IV&V in an ERP implementation. So starting just at a real high level, the purpose of IV&V is to identify gaps, defects, quality issues, and other things that you don't want to have happen in the project. And you want to identify those things as early in the process as possible. When we're working with executives, a lot of times you get through, you talk to them, and or we'll talk to clients as part of our research or customers that have implemented ERP, and we'll do kind of a deep dive of what they did in their projects and what actual results they achieved. And a lot of times they'll talk about how the project ended up a certain way because they didn't know or they didn't see some of the signs of trouble along the way. So there were challenges that kind of snowballed, and they weren't able to address them until it was too late. And so the intent of IV&V is really identify those red flags and those issues as early on as possible. And what happens then is that you minimize the risk and cost of the program, even though on paper or on the surface or in theory it may sound like IV&V or focusing IV&V is just another added expense or time-consuming activity. At the end of the day, it'll cost you a lot less time and money and risk to have those IV&V activities and processes in place, because it will save you so much in terms of challenges and failure points and problems that develop throughout a project. And then finally, the role of IV&V is to also help keep an implementation on track to realize the benefits that are expected. And as you recall from a slide a few slides back, a majority of projects do not achieve the benefits they expect, and IV&V is really focused on not just making the project successful from a risk perspective and making sure that the project doesn't fail, but it's also focused on ensuring that we're optimizing business benefits and that the organization is getting what they expect out of the system. Because you think about all the time and money that you invest in an ERP system, those are all sunk costs, and it's a huge investment. And if you just go that little extra mile to make sure that you're getting the most out of that investment, the difference between doing so and not, it's just a huge impact on ROI. Some other qualities of IV&V that you want to be thinking about is that IV&V should focus on both process and product review. So looking at both what we're doing and what the outputs of our processes are, what our deliverables are. And as we're looking at those, we want to understand, is it correct, is it complete, and is it consistent? So again, it's easy to get in this mode where you're just checking off a list and saying, yes, we did this, but it can be hard for people at times to look at it and say, well, we did it, but is it right for our business? Does it represent our business? Does it get us to where we need to be? And kind of more qualitatively, can we move on to the next stage of the project and not have any kind of lingering quality issues or incomplete aspects of that deliverable along the way. And then the other thing is that you also look at traceability and testability. So another quality of IV&V is that you have traceability of each requirement being independently, repeatedly verified and validated along the way, and also ensuring that there's objective acceptance criteria that can be identified and signed off on in the final product.